This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. 3, 2, 1, and welcome everybody to this episode of the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. Hi, Kikki.
Hi, John Allen.
Everybody, I'm speaking with the fantastic Miss Kikki Berli-Johnsen, who is currently, and for the 6th time, the strongest woman in Norway. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, what is it? I just want to go right away, just get into get into your mindset. What is it that attracted you to strongman competition or strongwoman competition? There's not a lot of women doing that in Norway. Of course, there's enough for there to be competitions and whatnot, but it doesn't seem to get the recognition of the mainstream strength sports environment here. So what made you interested in this?
I started to train strength training, or I started to train, period. When I met Egil in 2003, I think.
Yeah.
Back then I had a major back injury. And I was told that I would end up in a wheelchair.
Oh.
Back home in Kristiansand, where I come from, in the south of Norway. And then I moved together with Egil up in the mid parts of Norway. And he trained, and I started to train because of him. Typical.
Bad influence.
Girl taking boys' hobbies.
Yeah.
And my back injury was, as I said, it was really, really bad. So I talked with a hospital in Kristiansund, and they wanted to do a back surgery on me.
Uh-huh.
And in front of that surgery, I started to do some strength training because I read that a strong core would help me.
Yes. Now, were you thinking that this strength training that you started to do before the operation, do you think that it would allow you to do away with the thought of getting operated on, or was this just in preparation to be as strong as possible before the operation? I know they told me before my last shoulder surgery, before that, they told me to get in as good a shape as possible before the surgery. Is that the line of thinking you had, or?
Yeah, that was my line of thinking. My doctor didn't say anything. But I was, of course, I was called by him, by Egil, who talked very warm about strength training.
Yeah.
And I remember the last thing the surgeon said to me before the operation was, before the surgery, was, you will never be able to train again. And if you say something like that to me, I'm a bit like, okay, I'll show you. But I didn't know how the surgery would go.
No.
I might have ended up in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it could be successful. And I was so lucky it was successful. It was very successful. So I continued my strength training. I went over from just training in the basement, I discovered powerlifting.
Ah.
So that was actually my first real thing to do. It was powerlifting.
Let me ask you then about powerlifting, because I want to say I heard it on the grapevine, but Norway is such a small country, and then the strength sports environment is so small that when rumors go around, everybody hears it. Now, I heard a rumor that you wanted to make a comeback, if you will, in powerlifting, maybe about a year ago. Is that true?
That is quite fun, actually, because now that you have the raw lifting, you don't have to use the equipment.
Yeah.
Because I honestly hate lifting in suits, knee wraps and stuff.
I lift raw. I compete raw. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember who I was talking about this with, but I mentioned kind in I mentioned that it would maybe been cool if I could do it raw.
Yeah.
But then again, I continued with, but powerlifting is kind of boring because it's just the 3 lifts.
You like the dynamic and the unpredictability of strongman competition, strongwoman competition. So powerlifting was too structured for you.
I love powerlifting.
Yeah.
Actually, I love to sit in the audience and watch the powerlifter do their things, especially the women.
Yeah.
Because in Norway, you have women like Marte Elverum, who has the sickest face before she go into a lift.
She looks quite focused and quite serious, yeah.
She looks like she's able to kill everyone going in her way. So, but I don't think I will go back to powerlifting, even though powerlifting is still in my head when I train, because I can't hitch a deadlift, for instance.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And for those who are listening, in strongman and strongwoman competition, you can, it doesn't have to be one smooth movement when you deadlift. You can hitch it, as we call it. But whereas in powerlifting, that's not allowed. It has to be one movement, smooth, no resting, no jerking in any way. Big difference between powerlifting and strongwoman in that sense. Yeah.
It is.
But you have powerlifting in your head. So when you deadlift in a strongwoman competition, you are deadlifting
as clean as possible.
As clean as powerlifting like as possible. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I never use straps or anything like that. That's also allowed in powerlifting, in strongman.
Yeah, another big difference.
So I think what used to be my inner bodybuilder now has turned into my inner powerlifter.
I see. So it was just rumor then that you were going to make an attempt to come back to powerlifting.
I think so. Yeah.
You think so? That is such a Norwegian answer. I think so. I'm asking the person that the rumor has to do with, and your answer is, I think so.
Yeah, but who knows? I was never supposed to compete in strongman either.
Yeah, if you go by what the doctor was saying, that you may not be able to walk ever again, you'll never be able to train. I wonder, I am very fortunate. I've had a long series, several shoulder operations, quite serious operations, and I have a doctor at Lovisenberg Hospital, the surgeon who has done the last 2 surgeries, and she is of a mindset that matches with my athletic background. In other words, she is fully aware that certain surgical procedures, there have to be modifications. You have to have a different way of thinking about the rehab when you're doing those procedures on an athlete, as opposed to a 70-year-old inactive man. Big difference.
Yeah.
Do you feel then, when you were speaking with your doctors about this operation, that they had no clue about how to adjust things or to take into consideration your athletic background?
Absolutely no clue at all.
Yeah. It forces us in a situation where we kind of have to start thinking about our rehab treatment ourselves.
Yeah. I had trained strength about, let's say, 6-7 months, maybe no more, close to a year, in fact, because I had the surgery in 2004. And I really enjoyed it. And when he said that you can't do strength training again, I was like, but why? The best thing would be to be able to strengthen up my body because if I was just going to do, as unfortunately many people do, sit on my ass, I wouldn't do anything good for my back, for my body.
Well, that's the mistake that a lot of people, most people take, and I think a lot of medical people, doctors, surgeons, they make this mistake as well. They do the operation, whether it's your back, your knee, shoulder, whatever, and then they they consider part of your treatment this long period, 6-8 weeks of just sitting and doing nothing. And I think that is the worst thing you can do in just about any situation, in just about any type of surgery. The worst thing to do is just sit and do nothing.
Yeah. I was told to sit and do nothing, walk with crutches. I don't even think I brought the crutches back home from hospital. Because the day after the surgery, I could walk normal again. And I left home. I had a surgery on Tuesday, and I left home on Thursday. And they were like, "Are you ready to go home?" And I was, "Yeah, I'm ready." And I got an appointment with a physio. And I got some exercises to do. I think that was after 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
What I didn't know back then was that I already started to train a bit.
I
just
love
like
it.
very, very careful core movements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I tried to follow that program I got from the physio. I think I followed it for a week.
It's probably too easy. It's probably too easy.
Yeah, it was like followed-ish.
Well, you have you have the mind of an athlete. You have the mind of one who is consistently trying to make yourself stronger, make yourself better at what you do. And it goes against that way of thinking to just sit and do nothing. Yes, you're injured, so you have to have a period of adjustment. But
yeah,
to expect an athlete to just sit and do nothing, I think that's the worst thing a doctor can prescribe.
I might have had it back then as well, because when I started to lift, I wasn't able to squat. Yes, I was able to squat the bar, the 20 kilo bar.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to bench press it. And I remember 40 kilo deadlift being insanely heavy.
Yeah. Well, but we make adjustments and we do what we're able to do. With my shoulder injury, just because my shoulder is messed up, that does not mean I'm finished with powerlifting. I'm still going to keep setting squat records. I may only bench 25 kilos, but that doesn't get in the way of my squat or my deadlift. And it sounds like you had the same way of thinking during that injury and then the following rehab process.
But then I did powerlifting for couple of years.
Raw or with equipment?
With equipment.
Okay.
And I hated it. I really, really hated it.
It's a pain in the butt. All respect to those who do, but I think it just looks like it's so...
They need to have a very special relationship with pain. I can't... Honestly, I was doing a regional championship, and I can't remember a single lift from that competition because of the pain. That's every squat I did as a powerlifter with the equipment on, I can't remember the lift because of the pain.
And for those who don't understand or don't know too much about powerlifting, for example, in the squat. It's one thing to wear those tight-fitting, almost canvas type of suits that they have, but it's the knee wraps. They put those things on so tight. It was maybe a couple years ago. One of my training partners, shout out to Lars Andersen from the Drammen Powerlifting Club, just for the heck of it, he put knee wraps on me. And after the third or maybe fourth time around on those knee wraps, it was ridiculously painful. And to imagine having to do that for all 3 squats in a competition, no thank you.
No,
thank you. Let me fast forward to your most recent endeavor. Where was this competition in Norway? And tell me about it. What did it feel like? This was the 6th time you won the championship. And yeah. I don't think you're ashamed if I tell people how old you are. You did this at the age of 52.
Yeah, I did.
I think that's beautiful. Tell me about that competition. How was your preparation? Did you get all of your training in? I know things got a little crazy with the coronavirus, and it affected training for a lot of people.
I actually got to train the entire time because we own a gym.
Yes. So
I actually snuck down at the gym, made sure that nobody saw me in case of any of the people I'm trained with, they know it now, so I can say it now. But made sure that nobody saw me because we didn't feel like making people sad because they couldn't train.
Right.
But because of my asthma, because of my very severe asthma, I'm kind of in a risk group for getting sick.
Yes.
So yeah. I was isolating back home. And if I hadn't done the training, I think I would turn totally insane with just being home with Egil at work a lot because he was the only one who was working at PF.
Yeah.
And the kids at home all the time.
Yeah.
I would have gone insane.
Well, I can tell you, you and I think a lot alike. I'm trying to remember, it was maybe March, April, May. It was in May that I finally made the decision that, I have to train. I can't not train powerlifting because I was training, all the gyms are closed. So I was in my garage doing like body weight exercises and using bands and things like that. But I'm like, this isn't good enough. I have to powerlift. So I made the decision. I invested a pretty big chunk of money, and now I have my own home gym. I have everything I need to powerlift. Mm-hmm. So you and I think a lot alike. So you were at a position of, you were at an advantage that you were able to use the gym that you guys own and continue your training.
Yeah, totally.
Now, do you normally train alone or with others?
It depends. I have periods where I prefer to train alone, where my brain needs to be alone.
Focus, yeah.
Yeah. That is very often if I'm close for competition or things like that. And most of the time I train together with the awesome people in our gym.
Yeah.
I think we have the best gym in Norway. I've been through a lot of them, and there are a lot of good gyms in Norway. But the atmosphere at B30 it's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that has a lot to do with you and Egil. You guys are such well-known, well-liked, and loved people that when you have that kind of influence from the top down, well, there you go. You're going to have a good environment at that gym.
Yeah, but we've been so lucky that the people we got to be members at the gym, they are good people. They are supportive.
Yeah.
And we have so many different kind of sports training in the same gym.
Yeah.
So you always get inspiration from people who are there, who are training.
Yeah. So you're doing your training, you're preparing for this competition. Where was the championship this year?
It was in Vinstra, is it 4 hours north of Oslo, at a hotel called Fefor Høyfjells Hotel.
Oh yeah, okay, that's where you had that great seminar with the fantastic Ed Cohen.
Oh yes, well, you have the biggest of them all.
Yeah. Nice job getting that seminar and that whole competition done. By the way, that was a very successful thing for you guys. I understand. Yeah.
And I think Ed enjoyed it, every second of it as well.
Oh, sure.
We enjoyed having him there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're up there at Faford. It's championship time. Now, I don't know too much about strongman competition, but isn't it such that you don't know ahead of time exactly what exercises?
We get to know them about between 12 and 8 weeks before competition.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is that enough time to get ready?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If you train smart, and if you during a year is training all the events, not at the same time, of course, because
I'm sure it goes in cycles. You'll have periods of focus, right, on different exercises. Yeah. But that's the fascinating thing about strongman competition. You have to be well-rounded because you don't know what to expect when competition time comes.
Yeah, it is kind of like CrossFit, or CrossFit is kind of like strongman. You need to be able to do it all. So I knew the events in front. We did all, I think, actually 12 weeks before.
Yeah. Now, so what were the events then at this championship?
We started with Viking press.
Ah, the Viking press.
Yeah, that is kind of a bush press event. That was the first day. And day 2, we had a deadlift sandbag medley, where we did 4 repetitions of deadlift, went over to sandbags, 2 sandbags that were going to be run, carried 10 meters, loaded up to a table, and then back, pick up the next bag. I love that kind of events.
Yeah.
And then we had the sandbag throws.
Is that where you have to throw it up over?
Yeah.
Like as high as you can over a bar or something? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. And then on Saturday we had the power stairs, which is lifting implements up very, very steep stairs.
Okay, yeah, I think I saw a picture of you doing that on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, and they are really, each step was close to 50 centimeter tall.
Wow, really?
So even for me, who is tall,
how tall are you?
189.
Are you that tall? Wow.
Yeah. So even for me, it was tall steps.
How tall is Egil?
Egil is 187.
Okay.
He's a tiny one.
Poor guy. That poor guy. I want to give him a hug. That poor guy. So, wow. Now those are some big steps, and yeah, even for a tall woman like yourself, that is a heck of a step, especially when you're carrying that heavy load.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's one of my favorite events, so it's just fun. I won the event at the World's Strongest Woman in November last year. And I won it this time as well.
And where was the World's Strongest Woman in November? Where was it? Was
in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Daytona Beach, yeah. Wow, that must have been a heck of an experience.
That was amazing. It was like a trip back to mid-80s. And it was just amazing to have warm weather, be able to swim
in November.
In November.
Yeah.
It did good.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
How did you do? How did you do in that competition? How high did you place?
I placed 6th last year.
Wow. 6th in the world.
Yeah, and I was the only one over 50 who placed that high. So basically, I'm the strongest woman in the world over 50.
I just think that is so impressive, and I enjoy seeing examples of people. And I enjoy being an example of one who is over 50, or heck, even over 40, and we're showing people that we can be the strongest. We can be champions. We can beat people who are half our age.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Now, do you think that takes a special mindset? Do you think that takes a special amount of drive to do that? Or are we special, or are we just focused? What is it? What makes us able to do this?
I'm unsure. I know that I am very focused. I have a goal. I work towards that goal. And I think you need to be, you need a special mindset, because you can't think that, oh, I'm old.
Yes. The minute you start thinking that way, your athletic career is over.
Yeah, I see a lot of people I went to school with back a long time ago. I see a lot of them are talking about they are old. Oh, I'm in pain here and there, and oh, I can't do this, I'm too old. I don't have that mindset. I never had it.
No. I see that too. Old classmates who are constantly commenting about being old and this, that, and the other. And then they'll try to project that onto me, and they'll tell me, be careful, John, you're getting older. And it's like, okay, I'm getting older, but what is this be careful thing? I don't understand that.
Actually, that provokes me a lot when I get that.
I just take it as motivation. It just pushes me on. It pushes me further. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's quite fun, because when I do stuff like winning this weekend, so many of the same people who tells me to be careful are cheering me on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Kikki, this is so cool.
Well, they see it. They see that you're doing something that they themselves are fully capable of doing. And I think they recognize that they have put those limitations on themselves. Nobody else is limiting them. They're limiting themselves. And when they see you get it done, that's I don't know. Some people will try and resist the motivation, but people have to be motivated when they see someone like you doing what you're doing at the age that you are. It's quite motivating, very inspiring.
I actually have gotten a lot of messages on Messenger lately from people who are like, thank you, Kikki, for inspiring. That makes me very, very happy.
That's good, yeah.
Especially when it comes from other women who are like, thanks to you, I've started to train. And that makes me very happy.
Well, if we go back even 10 years ago, but especially if we go back even further, it seemed like women were afraid to excel in strength sports. And I never understood that. But I think it's a beautiful thing to see that way of thinking is going away. Some of my favorite power lifters are women.
Yeah, I agree.
For example, it's just good to see that way of thinking is changing. There's no reason for women to be afraid of strength sports.
I think that way of thinking is bigger up here in Scandinavia than, for instance, in America.
I think it is too.
Because we have America and Scandinavia have two different mindsets when it comes to showing off, if you get what I mean.
I do.
In America, it's good to be good. You are cheered on if you are good, if you do something.
Yeah.
Here it is like, you can't brag is the wrong word, but you can't be too visible.
Well, yeah, there's this thing that they have against people, sticking out in the crowd. If you have a talent, well, be quiet about that talent. I just don't believe in that. I believe it's quite limiting. I believe that it does something when you teach children that at a young age. I believe it puts an element of doubt in them.
Yeah.
If they recognize that they're good at something, they're going to doubt it. They're almost not going to believe that they have this ability.
Edith and I have a daughter. She's 14 and she is extremely intelligent and extremely talented in, for instance, art. She is one heck of a drawer. She's really amazing. And we have ever since she started to draw, we have been, come on, continue. This is good. And she really believes in herself. She believes so much in herself that she has drawn the logos of one of the biggest strength lifting equipment companies in the world.
Oh, really?
Cerberus Strength.
Uh-huh.
That logo is hers.
Wow.
And she just got an offer from, I can't say the name, but she will be more visible.
And she's only 14.
And that is because we told her to believe in herself, be proud of what she's doing.
Well, she's got two great examples for parents. You know, both you and Egil are very driven people. You know, you guys have your little thing that you do, and you do it well, and you discuss it with others, and you stand forward as a positive example for what you're doing. So to me it's quite normal to see that you're passing that way of thinking down to your children.
Yeah, luckily we do.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not luck. It's not luck. It's good parenting.
Yeah, but I even see it with the foster children we have.
Yeah, you have two foster children, correct?
No, we have three.
I'm sorry, three.
Yeah. The oldest one moved out a year and a half ago, but she's still our little girl.
Yeah.
But at home now we have two foster children living. Erik is 17 and Alva is 12. And especially Erik, who has been living with us since 2012, you can see that he has adopted our way of acting, thinking. He's a cool guy.
Well, there's that good parental influence that I was talking about, and that's not luck. That is something that you guys do, and you do well, and you're passing it down to your children, obviously.
Yeah.
Erik is a big guy. He looks like
he's not very tall. He is I think he's 167, 68.
But he's thick and wide, and he looks like a strength athlete.
He has a strength talent. He is just too lazy.
Okay. Yeah.
But he really has a strength talent.
How old is he?
He's 17.
17, yeah.
Yeah. He is the kind of guy who can walk into the gym and just lift stuff, and he do it good. He's
just got that natural strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. He showed up he signed up for a strongman competition in the gym without telling me.
Oh.
Yeah. He discussed it with Egil, and they agreed that, he was going to train for it, but he was not going to tell me. So when I came down I think I was going to ref that competition, he was on the list of athletes.
And that's the first you knew about it.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, Erik.
How did he do?
He placed second to last, but he competed.
Yeah, there you go. Step one. Yeah. Step one, start competing. Yeah. And I tell anyone who asks me, anybody that I coach in powerlifting, and if and a lot of people are very insecure, they're uncertain, they're afraid to start because they always say, well, I don't think I'm good enough to compete. And I say everyone is good enough to compete. You have to start somewhere. And then the fun thing, this is how I look at powerlifting. The fun thing is that once you've started, now you can compete against yourself. Now your goal is to just get stronger than you were at the previous competition.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of strength sports. You can internalize that competition to where, of course, it's nice to win and come in first place. But it's not a failed endeavor if you don't get first place. If you lift more, if you're stronger than you were at the previous competition, then you've won.
I totally agree. And I think that's in strong woman, we struggle a bit with getting women to compete because they're never strong enough. That is, I can see a talent train in the gym, do all the events that we are going to compete in. And she tells us, I'm not strong enough to compete. And I try to explain to her, but you will never be strong enough. I'm competing on world level, and I'm not strong enough.
Well, what do they mean? What do you mean when you say that? I get what you're saying. You don't accept a new or a potential competitor saying they're not strong enough. That's not to be accepted, because the way I look at it, everyone is strong enough. But what do you mean when you say that even though you're competing on the world platform, that you're still not strong enough? What do you mean?
Because I still have goals to reach. I still have a goal in deadlift.
I see.
I can still be stronger. I can still be faster.
See. So you're saying you're not strong enough for your own goal?
No. I will be one hell of an old lady to live with, because I will never be satisfied with that.
Well, that's the mark of a true competitor. That whole thing about never being satisfied.
Yeah.
My goal is every time I lift, I want to lift more than I did the last time.
Yeah.
And when that doesn't happen, then I failed. And that has nothing to do with placing in the competition. I just want to be stronger than I was the previous training cycle or the previous competition. Yeah.
I have it like that in training very much. And Clint, my coach, he needed to tell me that you don't always have to lift more heavier in training, but if you increase with a rep,
yes,
you have done better than last training.
Yeah.
It has taken me quite a while to accept that mindset.
Well, I guess I can understand that, but and I'm not sure how you train. But if you, I don't know, I have like a cyclist of training, and it's in anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 week blocks. So I look at one training block at a time. And at the beginning of that training block, it's relatively lightweight with relatively high reps. And then at some point it crosses over to being heavyweight and lower reps in that training block. So
same as I do.
Okay, yeah. So I solve that dilemma. I resolve that desire to always be better by looking at the numbers, whether it's a week of heavy lifting or a week of light lifting. I just look at it and compare it to the previous training block.
Yeah.
And there you go. There you can see the progression.
Yeah, I'm starting a new deadlift cycle now, later today. I'm really like, I'm going to deadlift. That is the funniest thing I do. I really love it. And I'm starting on, I think, 75%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clint sent me a video today where he explained what we're going to do for the next 8, 10, 12 weeks. And it is like you described there.
I love setting up a new training block, and I look at where I'm going to start, and it might seem boring. It might seem like it's too light, or maybe I'm dreading doing, 10 reps or something like that. Powerlifters do not like a lot of reps. Yeah, that's cardio. But when I look out towards the end of that, I'm like, oh my gosh, at the end of this training block, I'm going to be hitting a triple for that much weight. I've never done that before. So then I spend the whole 12 weeks with a very clear marching plan. I see that the work that I'm doing is going to lead to a new victory at the end of that. See, I don't have to have a competition to get that sense of fulfillment. I get that sense of fulfillment at the end of a training block. Every training block should be a new personal record.
Yeah, it should. I'm looking forward to go back to the gym today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I don't own my own gym anymore, but I tell you, having my own home gym is saving my life. I think I don't know. I'm in the risk group as well for COVID because I have asthma. And I don't think I would feel comfortable going to a commercial gym and being potentially exposed to the coronavirus. I think that would be messing with my head a little bit. So I'm very glad that I have a home gym now that I can do everything here.
And you think you are able to train good enough in the garage? You're able to push yourself enough?
Absolutely. I have, for the most part, I train alone. Now, for the last few years, pretty much ever since I've been powerlifting, whenever Hege Nielsen comes to Norway, and she can be here for like 6 months out of the year, for those 6 months, we train together. She's not my coach, so to speak, but she's there to motivate me, and that does something with my training. So that I miss when she's not here. But I pretty much my entire powerlifting career, I have trained alone. I'll call people over to help spot me, when I get up into some heavier lifts. But for the most part, I train alone. That's what I'm used to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm spoiled with having Egil around most of the time. And I have a couple of other guys at the gym who, they don't need to stand next to me when I lift, but I can hear them on the other side of the gym cheering on me, like, come on, Kikki.
There's something with that, something about that really, really motivates when you're training. They don't have to be your training partner, so to speak, but just that they're there in the background shouting and pushing you on.
Yeah. We had one of a few of them in the crew last weekend for Norway Strongest.
Okay.
And I remember I heard their voices, and it was like, yes.
Yeah, I tell you, it makes a big difference. Oh, it's good to have support like that.
Yeah. It is.
Let me switch gears a little bit. I would like to talk to you a little bit about your family.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have foster children in your home. You have a very beautiful family, but it's a very unusual family because it is a combination of racial and ethnic identities. Where are your foster children from?
It is my own little UN, actually. My two oldest foster children, Erik and Maria, they are from Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And Arva is Somalian.
I'm sorry?
Somalia.
Somalia. Yeah. Somalia. Yeah. Okay.
And Erik and Maria are Catholics. And Maria is Muslim. No, Arva is Muslim. Mm. So we do have a UN.
You do. So how do you make that work? And then you and Egil are based in the Viking tradition. So it's a very dynamic mix in your home. How do you make it work? Or does it just work because there's love in the base of everything?
I think it works because there is love in the base of everything.
Yeah.
Like the religion, it's not a thing in our house. It's just what the kids, the foster kids, that's what they brought to the table.
Okay.
But none of them are active.
No, okay.
No. But I think when you get a family like ours, we have 6 kids all in all, where Egil has one from an earlier relationship. I have a son from a very earlier relationship, and we have Vilja together, and then the 3 foster kids. You need a lot of love to make that work. Yeah. And it's not hard at all. Okay, it's hard to be foster parents because you get a lot of extra stuff. The kids have their luggage from earlier life.
Yes, just having an idea of the countries that they come from, there is potentially a lot of trauma in their background. Yeah.
There are.
Yeah.
All foster kids, at least let's say all have some kind of trauma with them. So you do have stuff to work with all the time.
Yeah.
And you need to get those kids. You can have a kid coming to your house that is terrified of being close to other people because what they know from earlier on is beating,
yes,
for instance.
Yeah.
And then you need to teach that kid that you can actually be angry without hitting.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of work.
Well, that's a heck of a job to take on. And I think it says a lot about any foster parent who takes that job and is taking it for the right reasons, to help a child. That says a lot about them because it is a huge job, a huge burden that you willfully take on with the intention of helping that child.
It is it's such a grateful job at the same time.
Sure.
Because you see the changes all the time. In the beginning, like my experience is the first year or so, it seems like you're just standing on the same spot.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening. Maybe things get worse. You have a lot of sleepless nights because you are worrying what will happen with that kid. And then slowly, small changes are appearing. And actually, now I need to think in Norwegian and try to translate to English.
Oh, you're doing well. You're doing well.
But you have those tiny, tiny victories along the road.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're sitting there with a 17-year-old boy who has turned out to be the most awesome person on earth.
Well, it's a beautiful thing.
I'm getting emotional.
So we like emotion on the Coming Home podcast with John Allen. We like emotion.
Actually, when I see Erik, because I've been really concerned about Erik earlier, like really, really. And when I see him now, it's like, wow, what a job we have done together as a group, as a family.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't happen if Erik wasn't willing to learn from us, learn from both Egil and me and the other kids.
Well, yeah, and I would imagine that in the start of a relationship with a foster child, there is the issue of trust.
Yeah.
Depending on their background, depending on what they experienced before they came to you, trust might be a very difficult thing to achieve.
Yeah.
So I would imagine a lot of time goes towards just building trust.
Yeah. All our 3 foster kids came to us in that period of life where they are supposed to start to become their own individuals. Erik and Maria were 11 and 12.
Okay.
And Ava was 12 when she moved in. And that is when they start to hit puberty. They're supposed to be disgusting little creatures. At the same time as they are supposed to break free from parents, they're supposed to bond with us.
That is when you say it that way, I can see that as being a very difficult time to start a family relationship at that age. That's got to be rough.
It is.
Which makes the success when you see your 17-year-old son now and you see what a good young man he is, that should give you even more of a sense of accomplishment. Yeah. Because of the timing of the beginning of the relationship.
And Maria came home a few months ago with a tattoo on her forearm with Roman numbers. And I was like, okay, what's that? What's the tattoo you got? That's the date I moved in with you.
Ah.
I cried.
I bet you did.
Actually, I saw she was up at Fairfield this weekend as well, and I saw the tattoo again. It was like, that's the best compliment I ever got.
Yeah. Well, I can see the love in your family. I've heard about you for quite some time. We have some common friends between us. And I've heard a lot about you and a lot about Egil, about how kind and how warm-hearted you guys are. And I think that manifests itself. We can see the kindness and the good-heartedness of you two when we see your children. That is a testament of the success of you two as parents. Absolutely.
I think our kids are absolutely awesome, all 6 of them.
6 kids, does that get on your nerves? we have 2 here in our house, and sometimes I just want to, they're 12 and 14, but sometimes I want to just give them my credit card and tell them to go get a hotel and leave me alone for a while.
Luckily, all 6 are not living at home.
Yeah.
We have a tiny house, and if I had 6 kids in that house,
yeah.
I think I would move out.
Can I ask you, what brought you guys to that area of Norway where you live? Because you're from south, and Egil is from Kristiansund, is he not?
Yeah, just a bit south of Kristiansund.
Yeah. So what is it that brought you guys to this area of Norway?
That was Proteinfabrikken.
Okay, the business. Yeah, the business.
Yeah. Egil had a extra job at Proteinfabrikken for a while he was doing his job in the prison, and he was the local salesman up in Møre and Romsdal.
Yeah.
And he got an offer. He got a call from Bjørn Kenneth, who is the director of the factory here. Mm. He got a call. I think it was Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
And he told him that we have a job for you, a full-time job. I need an answer by Thursday. And I was like, okay. This is terrifying because both of us had jobs up there. We had a house.
Yeah.
Vilja was in kindergarten and everything. And I think we used 12 hours to decide that, okay, we will give it a try. We will rent out the house, and started to rent the house down here. So he got that offer early September. We moved mid-October in 2009.
Yeah.
2 years has been 11.
Well, that was a really quick turnaround. I mean, you did not have a lot of time to make that decision, and that is a big life-changing decision.
We were in the process of thinking of moving because of Vilja, because we already back then, when she was 3, we could see that she was extremely intelligent. And that little place that Egil comes from, which has, I think, 400 people living there, they couldn't give her what she needed.
I see. I see.
So, but we were talking about Trondheim, because both of us like Trondheim very much.
Okay.
And we never talked about Stokke at all.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between Trondheim and Stokke.
Stokke is a place you just drive by.
Yeah.
It's actually, sorry, all people in Stokke, it's the most boring place on earth.
But you're happy there. You're happy there. You have your gym. You have your family. You guys are happy there. You seem to be.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We bought the house in 2011, which are well known as Strongman Road.
Oh.
Actually, we have the road sign and everything that says Strongman Road. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And we really enjoy our little spot of the world.
Yeah.
It's a very peaceful, it's a very warm place. It's a good place to live.
It seems to be. I would actually prefer. I've been through Stokke before, and I would actually prefer Stokke to Trondheim. But I'm not a city guy. I don't like. I live in Drammen, but I do not like living in the city. I would much rather be in a place like Stokke.
Yeah, we live in the countryside. We have 4 neighbors.
Yeah,
and 8 sheep on the other side of the field.
And 8 sheep. Oh, what are your plans going forward, Kikki? You are far from finished competing with strong women.
I'm not finished at all.
What's your next step?
My next main goal is World's Strongest Woman in November 2021, because it's cancelled due to COVID. It's cancelled this year. I got the invite last night.
Yeah,
I knew I was getting it. Because I was qualified from last year.
Yeah.
But still, it made me very happy to see it come in my email last night. So my goal is to place top 3. I know I will have one hell of a fight to get up there.
What do you have to do? What do you have to change in your training in order to better yourself so that you can place where you want to?
I don't think I need to change much. I just need to continue the good work I'm doing together with Clint.
Shout out to Clint. I had a few conversations, chats back and forth with him. I was trying to get him on my podcast, but we just could not match up our time. I should go back to him and give it another try.
You should.
I should do that.
You should, because he's an extremely interesting guy.
Yeah.
And he is... I don't know anyone who knows as much about training. Maybe Ed. Or not maybe, but...
I was just going to say, I was just about to start wagging my finger at you. What do you mean, maybe?
Yeah, but...
No, I hear you. Clint is well respected.
Yeah, I'm very allowed to bully Ed a bit.
Oh, absolutely. He can take it. He can take it.
I know he can. I know. But I think Clint and I just need to continue to do the good work we are doing. I think I'm...
Are you still getting stronger?
Yeah.
Still getting stronger at 52. And
yeah, I am.
Proof to those who doubt. Here it is.
I'm still getting stronger. I'm still building muscles. And actually, I love to see that.
I have seen, just to give you a little feedback here, I have seen a change in your physique over the last 3 or 4 years. So yes, once again, you are walking, living proof that there's no such thing as not being well, for some people, but it is possible to gain strength and to do something with your body composition past the age of whatever. Yeah,
absolutely.
I've seen it. I've seen the changes in you over the last few years.
Yeah, I just saw some pictures from last year's Europe's Strongest in August last year, and I changed a lot in a year.
Yeah, so it can be done.
Yeah, so I'll just continue to work with Clint, do what Clint says, because he knows what he's doing.
Well, that's important. If you have a trainer, you have to trust that trainer. I think a lot of people waste a lot of time and a lot of progression and improvement because they spend so much of that time questioning their trainer. If you have to question your trainer that much, maybe you should just have a different trainer.
That I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I see it in the gym.
Yes.
Yes. People who pay a trainer, a coach to do the programming, and they don't follow it, and they add stuff, they take away stuff.
Yeah.
And people, your coach is coaching you, he's programming you the way he does for a reason.
Yeah.
And like Clint knows what I need because I'm good at giving him feedback.
Yeah, that communication line is very important. Yeah. But you know, a lot of people who have coaches, yes, they do the wrong thing. They question their coaches or they change their coaches' programming. But on the other side of that, we do see coaches who, you know, they just have one program for everyone. They don't have that communication. They don't have that respect, that mutual respect with their client. And that's not a good thing either.
No, it isn't.
So,
I totally agree. You actually see quite a lot of that in Strongman.
Ah, okay. Really? Really?
So I've been lucky. I've chosen the few people I've had as my coaches wisely after I ditched Egil as a coach.
Was Egil... Now,
he was coaching me all until 4 years ago, I think.
And why did you drop him as your coach?
Because we're married.
So you found it difficult to combine that your marriage life with your training life.
It was too easy for me to question him.
And that is the problem. That is the problem that I have with my little Snoopy. She'll come to me up through the years. She'll come to me and ask me for a program, ask me to train her, and I'll do it. And it lasts 3 weeks. And then she's yelling at me and questioning everything and changing. And then we stop.
Yeah. So we agreed that the best thing for me was to find someone else to coach me.
I totally understand that.
Egil is with me on almost every single training I'm doing. He is there. So he is the one who is live coaching me, but he is doing it from the program I have.
From Clint,
Yeah. He and Clint has a very good communication going on about what to do with me.
Yeah. No, Egil is actually the one who put me in touch with Clint and suggested that I get him on my podcast. This is a few months ago. I need to go back and do that. I need to get Clint on.
Yeah, you do. He is awesome.
I check out his videos on YouTube. It's interesting stuff and motivating and
Yeah. He just posted a video for me last night. He was supposed to talk to me for 3 minutes, ended up 18 minutes describing what I'm supposed to do with my deadlift.
I see.
And of course telling me how awesome I am.
Well, there you go. Your coach should be your best cheerleader. That's good. Well, listen, Kikki, I want to congratulate you again on all of your success. Congratulations on not just this last victory, but on the 5 victories before that. Congratulations on your entire journey from your surgery and all the way up through the years, all the training and up to where you are now. It's quite impressive. You're blowing that myth about age. You're blowing that out of the water. You're, a fellow 50-year-old still getting stronger. And I love it. It's motivating.
Thank you, John Allen.
Thank you for being on this episode, and I'm sure this is going to be motivating for my listeners to hear. Thanks a lot, Kikki.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you and goodbye.